Our trip back in time has led us to these 3 statues from the archaeological park of ancient Ostia, which can be reached from this terminal in just a few minutes. The statues represent Apollo and 2 nymphs. In the ancient world, nymphs were semi-divine females, personifying the kindest traits of nature and often filling the greater gods with passion. One of the most famous myths is the one between the god Apollo and the nymph Daphne, as retold by the poet Ovid in his work, The Metamorphoses. In this tale, the mischievous Cupid shoots an arrow into the heart of the arrogant Apollo to punish him for claiming to be the greatest of all archers. This drives the god mad with love for Daphne. The nymph, on the other hand, is struck by Cupid's opposite arrow, which urges her to push Apollo away. She attempts to hide in the woods as Apollo hunts her down. As he's about to grab her, Daphne pleads to Gaia, the goddess of earth, who protects her from Apollo by turning her into a laurel tree. From then onwards, this tree will be sacred to Apollo. This is the reason why, here as elsewhere, the god is almost always depicted with a laurel wreath around his head. Laurel wreaths are also given as trophies to victorious athletes, great poets, and military commanders. Indeed, Apollo is also the protector of the arts, science, and intellect. Finally, a laurel wreath would be placed on the head of the emperors at their coronations, as a sign of their divine status. As we study this sculpture, we'll notice a musical instrument placed next to the god. It's a cithara, and it symbolizes Apollo's protection over music and poetry. Apollo is also leaning against a tree trunk, coiled around which is a snake. This animal denotes the god's domain over the medical arts, which he also shares with Aesculapius. The 2 nymphs of the sculpture here are sea nymphs. The one holding an amphora is probably a naiad, or nymph of flowing water, while the other is almost certainly a nereid, or seawater nymph. Perhaps the most famous nymph of the sea is Thetis, granddaughter to Oceanus and mother of the hero Achilles. It is she who submerges him in the river Styx of the underworld. According to legend, Thetis holds the child Achilles by his heel, which remains the only mortal part of his body. Years later, Apollo guides the arrow shot by the Trojan champion Paris towards Achilles' heel, in an attempt to defeat the Greeks, which the god opposes. This spells the death of Achilles, and since then, up to today, we refer to a person's weakness as their Achilles' heel.